Today we're going to be altering a paper doll, and this is the one that I have chosen to work with today. We're going to be turning her into a snow queen. So to start with, we're going to need some plain collage paper. The first piece that I have, I cut at about 6 inches, and it's the same width as the roll that it comes on, which is also 6 inches. So we have a 6-inch square piece. And then I have 2 smaller pieces. This one is measuring at 5 inches by 3. And then I have a nice little one that is measuring at 4 by 3.5. Now, these measurements do not have to be exact. I just find these are the ones that work best for me. Now, to start with, we're going to cut this piece in half. I'm going to take my tonic scissors and cut that in half right down the middle. And then we'll bring our littlest piece and our 2 big pieces in over here. These we're going to start embellishing with some stamped images. I'm going to be using the little star sprinkles and the snowflakes from the Snarky Cat Christmas set. This can be found in the limited edition Stamptember 2020 set or the Christmas set. So before I start stamping anything, I'm going to quickly dust the pieces of paper I'm working with my non-static pouch, just to make sure when I put down our embossing ink that nothing extra is going to stick to the paper. So grabbing my embossing pad, set that off to the side, and I will grab a stamp block to mount one of the stamps. For the 2 large pieces, we are going to be stamping the little star sprinkles. So just tap a little bit of the embossing ink onto here and we'll start stamping. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a border pattern at the bottom of the paper. And we'll set that one aside. It's not going to take long to stamp the other piece, so I figured we'd do both of them at the same time. Okay, good. Now, for the embossing powder that I'm going to use, we are going to be using some of the Ranger Silver Superfine Detail Embossing Powder. Now I'm just going to slide a piece of printer paper underneath the piece that I'm going to emboss. And taking the powder, quickly sprinkle that over the paper. Shake off the extra. As you can see, we have nice little floaty star sprinkles at the bottom. I'll set that aside for the moment, and I'll quickly do the other one at the same time. Okay, shake that off. Set it to the side, and very quickly I'm going to put all that lovely extra powder right back into the jar. Now I'm going to grab the embossing gun and we're going to set those little star sprinkles. Now, as you can see, we have those nice little star sprinkles all embossed on our papers. So I'm going to set these aside for the moment, and I'm going to switch stamps. I'm going to put on the snowflakes next, and I will grab that other piece of paper. I'll put that down, and this one I'm going to cover in snowflakes. So grabbing a little bit of the embossing ink, we're going to start stamping. And this one I want snowflakes all over. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So now I'll come back and grab my paper, stick that under here, and dump on some embossing powder. since it's all going back into the jar, I'm not overly worried about being neat on this part. Okay, and I'll set that aside just for a moment and put the rest of this back in the jar. Good, and I'll set the jar off to the side so I don't accidentally knock that off the table, and I'll go back and grab the heat embossing gun. Okay, and now we have our lovely shiny snowflakes on here. But we can't see them very well on this plain paper. So what we're going to do next, we're going to bring back our star sprinkle pieces, and we're going to be adding just a touch of some Mermaid Lagoon Distress Spray. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to do a quick strip of color down just the bottom of this. Just like that, no more, no less. And I'll take that and set it aside to dry. And we'll do the exact same thing with this one. Perfect. Just a little bit, not a lot. And I'm missing just a little bit of color in the corner, so I'll dab that on with my finger. And again, I will set that aside. Now I've got some nice lovely color down here, so I'm going to quickly spritz that with my mister, and I'm going to dunk the piece with the snowflakes on it in the color. No sense in letting that color go to waste. This piece I want mostly blue anyway, so this is a good way to get the color and use up our leftover distress spray. All right, that looks good, and that really makes the snowflakes pop. So we're going to pause for a moment while these dry. Okay, now that last little piece of paper that we have, this one just needs a little bit of embossing. And I'm going to go back and grab my little star sprinkles and add a quick couple of rows of stars on here. I'm going to add some going across the bottom. And I want to add some going up this side. Okay. And again, grabbing my scrap piece of paper and the embossing powder. Dump. Shake. And return all of the powder. And we'll grab the heat tool and quickly set those last few stars. Okay, now it's time to start decorating or altering our paper doll. To start with, I'm going to grab my mini snips, and I need to give myself some space to work. Right now, there's lots of surface space, but I'm going to want to tuck and fold a few things, so I need to set this up so that I can get underneath the arms. I'm going to gently cut around her hands. And give myself some space to work and tuck and fold things by cutting up along the arm almost to the shoulder. And this will give me a space to tuck material. And I will do the same thing for her other hand. Carefully working around. And cutting up almost to the shoulder, but not quite. So now I've given myself some extra areas to tuck and fold things away. Good. Now I'm going to leave that like this for the moment. Next, we're going to focus on the bodice area of the dress. For that, I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to cut that area where I had those stars on the side. Now, quickly checking, I have got plenty of room to work and a little bit of extra, which is always good. From here, I'm going to start doing an accordion fold. The accordion fold is going to give me texture to make this collage paper look kind of like fabric. So an accordion fold is a simple back and forth fold, and I'm going to do that for the entire length of this paper. And we want those little pleats to stack nicely together. And I'm going to keep an eye on where my snowflakes are because I'm going to want those on the outside. So now that I have this nice little fan piece, I want to make sure that my shiny snowflakes are facing out towards me. This is going to become the top part of the dress, and we're going to want those snowflakes to be most prominent. So I'll take this over here, kind of size it to make sure it's going to fit. And then I will get some collage paste. Now I'm going to take and start to flatten some of these folds because I'm going to want this part to lay right across the top of the dress line. And while I'm doing that, we'll add some collage medium onto the paper doll. So I'm going to start on this side and put the corner of the paper down. And then I'm going to start to fold it back in on itself, continuing that fan fold that we already started. This is going to add some layers and give us that really cool fabric look. And if it's not quite right, we just pick it up and move it over just a little bit. There. Perfect. And that is the beginning of the dress. Now I'm going to trim off the excess piece near the bottom, and I'm just going to make a little triangle pointing down. Okay, so that would be step one. Now I'm going to take care of the dress. For the dress, I'm going to start with the piece that we colored blue with all of those pretty snowflakes. And again, we're going to accordion fold this. Now, depending on how you want your dress to look, you can change the size of your accordion folds. I like to have lots of pleats in the ones that I make, so I make my accordion fold very little. But if you want more waves or ripples, you could make this fold larger. Okay, and I'm going to carefully fan that out. And I'm going to check both sides to see which side I like best for the bottom of the dress. Oh, this side. I like this side better because it has more visible snowflakes. Okay. So this is going to kind of be the underskirt of her dress. I'm going to add some collage medium right here in the center. And we're just going to stick that down and make sure that it comes all the way to the bottom of the original paper doll dress. Okay, that looks good. I might need to trim a little. I'm going to flip that over, take a look at how that sets on this side, and trim just a little bit of the excess off. Perfect. Make sure that's nice and stuck. Also check that the arms are still free to move, because we will need to move them out of the way for other parts of this project. Okay, that's good. We've got the middle part of the dress all made. I'll set that aside, and we're going to grab our 2 other pieces with the star sprinkles. Again, we're going to accordion fold these. This time I'm going to make sure that my little star sprinkles are at the very bottom of the dress. And because of the distress spray, we have this very cool gradient happening. Okay, that is looking pretty good. Got this one done. Unfold it just a little bit. Ooh. You can really see the mist pattern right here. Very cool. All right, I'll set that aside and we'll quickly do the other one. The nice thing about the plain collage paper is that you can customize it any way that you want, whether you're doing a collaged background or altering a paper doll. Okay, now that we have all of our accordion folds, time to attach these parts to the doll as well. So bringing her back into focus, we're going to get some collage medium. We're going to lift up that arm and we're going to add that right along the curve of the dress here. Now I'm going to check my 2 sides and decide which one I want to go where. Okay, this one is going to go on this side. I'm going to make sure that is going to overlay the snowflakes. Good. I'm going to press that down. I'm going to flip this over and tuck the extra pieces in on the back. Good. Make sure all of the pieces are going to stay put. Okay, now this is where the arm's going to be very useful. Once I get a sleeve on it, it's going to help pin that dress in place and keep the pieces from moving. All right, I'll fuss with the ruffles later. Add some glue to this side. Take that, line it up, make sure it's about the same length. Looks good. Smush. And again, I will glue any extra bits onto the back. Oh, and not too many extra bits this time. Good. Okay, coming back to the front. I'll have to do a little bit of trimming. The end part is just a bit too long, but we'll flip that over and we'll start to trim. I don't know about you guys, but it pains me to a certain extent to actually look at what I'm cutting. So flipping it over to the back side where it's not nearly as pretty makes it easier to do these little trimming bits. Because I know I'm going to be losing some of those pretty little stars, but that's okay. We'll make it work. Alright. And there is the full skirt. Now I'm going to fuss just a little bit with those pleats. Make sure that they're still nice and crisp just by running my fingers back along the creases. Ooh, that gradient is very, very cool. Checking this side. Good. And we can still see all those lovely snowflakes underneath, which have gotten just a little squished, but that's okay. We can go back in and fluff those back up. Perfect. So now on to the sleeves. So scoot that out of the way for the moment. grab my piece of paper again, and we're going to cut off a chunk to use for a sleeve. For these, I like to cut a triangular shape. Not a big one because the arm isn't overly long, but just enough for a triangle to get us started with a basic arm shape. Though I did cut off the top of the point. Just something like this. That's one, and I'll do another. Okay, so I've got my 2 sleeves ready to go. Now this part isn't generally very hard. Just going to line up the sleeve, going to fold it in half. Not quite in half. And fold it over again. I'm kind of making a little bit of a cone. More like 2 folds. And this is going to be the sleeve that I'm going to try to slip over her arm. Opening it up. I'm going to slide the arm through there. If it doesn't fit, I can always tuck the extra part under. Okay, there's the arm. Then I'm going to wrap that around. Not quite. Let's try it the other way. Okay. Bring it back around, tuck under. There we go. Got it. Now I just need to glue this in place. These are interesting to make every time because I never quite attach the pieces in the same way that I did on a previous doll because each doll is unique and slightly different shaped. And that is okay because we can change the pieces to fit the doll. That is one of the things that I love about altering. Okay, so that's a little bit more see-through than I like, so not a big deal. I'm going to go back, grab a scrap, then we're just going to go over that area again with another sheet. And now we'll do the other arm. Lift the arm up, slip our piece under, fold over, and we'll go around to the back to secure it in place. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure I like the sleeves yet, but I need to add in the belt before I do anything else. So I'm going to lift her arms back up, put some glue right in the middle. And we will add the belt. The nice thing about adding a little belt is that it will camouflage some of our messy glue areas. see how that looks on the front. Oh, getting there. Much better. Much, much better. I need to tack this part down. Okay. And I am ready to tack the arms down. Now I'm going to add just one more piece to this. Taking more of my paper. I'm going to cut off all those extra little jaggedy bits. Set that aside. And one last accordion fold. I want to give her a bit of a ruffle stick behind her neck. Flip this over. Oh yeah, that should look pretty good. Add some glue. Okay, flip this over. Yes. I am liking that a lot more. Now, I want to add just a couple of little finishing bits, and this will be complete. When finishing off these paper dolls, I like to give them a little bit of added bling, just to add that little extra sparkle and shine. Let's quickly fix her dress. It got just a little smushed while we were gluing things in place. But not a big deal. Just go back in, fluff it up, redo some of the crease lines. I'm just going to grab a few little stick-on gems. Got these. And you can definitely embellish your paper doll any way that you want. This is just one of my favorite ways to add something a little bit extra. And we're going to put a row of 3 gems going across the top of her dress. Just like that. Good. And that would be the completion of our altered Snow Queen paper doll.